This video is an analysis of my professional growth teaching at Apache Trail High School in Apache Junction, Arizona. In the beginning of my teaching event, I used direct instruction a lot, and I think it just puts students in a perceived role. Students just took notes, and there was no indication that learning took place. Over time, I facilitated learning for all students by allowing students to walk in pairs while walking with manipulatives and other hands-on activities. I also use visual aids, and even with direct instruction, when I do use direct instruction, I have students engage in small groups to walk toward atomicity of the concepts covered in class. I also help facilitate learning for all students by helping them engage and understanding the why they're studying a particular concept. I show them real life applications and help them relate and show them problems that they can relate to the topics that we cover. For example, when we did the quadrilaterals, I showed a video of the use of quadrilaterals in designing a house, and almost everyone in the classroom was able to relate to that and shared their experience. The learning theories in these excerpts are constructivist learning and socio-cognitive theory. Communication is encouraged between students. So this is constructivist learning theories. Through the use of thought-provoking questions and open-ended questions as well. The discussions that students have while walking together exemplifies socio-cognitive theory. Through their discussion, students learn, listen, and respond to each other's questions. As seen in this excerpts right here, instead of having students sitting down taking notes, as was the case of the first teaching event, here I have students again watch a video that helps them to relate what they're learning to real life applications. After watching the video, I handed out materials that they needed, the cutouts for the various shapes of quadrilaterals that they were going to use as manipulatives to walk. So this does facilitate learning for all the students, and everyone in the classroom had access to the materials that we needed. In terms of monitoring student progress toward meeting the standards and objectives, I closely look at students. I observe them while they're applying skills or when they work in groups. I am always moving around the classroom looking over their shoulders, um, making sure that the students understand the concepts that we're covering. I informally and informally assess to measure all aspects of the learning objectives. I find this important especially when students work on projects. This is where they can demonstrate mastery or where they can show any errors, misconceptions that we covered of the lesson that was covered, so I can clarify for them. The most common errors that I identified in relation to the standards objectives of teaching these lessons: knowledge base errors. This is when the students lack understanding of concepts. Oftentimes, it leads them to making mistakes when they're solving problems. There was also competition errors with some students, and I addressed this with my guiding teacher, who admitted that those particular students need a remedial course that they need to take with her. Another common error is not understanding what squared means. For the students who are working with the surface areas, for example, surface area of a circle by r square, they would just multiply the radius by 2 instead of squaring the radius. And the same with the volume. They would multiply it by 3 where it is supposed to be cubed. The students confused, these particular students worked on properties of quadrilaterals, and so they had to identify them and tabulate the results, and some of them had problems. They confused the properties. There was also the error of finding areas in volumes where the units of the dimensions were different. This class, working on surface area, a lot of them had errors when they were finishing up their projects, calculating the surface area, the area of the faces. They just added the sides, so basically calculating the perimeter instead of the area. So these are the common mistakes and errors that was seen in the lessons. In moving forward to address the identified needs of my learners, I plan to help students acquire concept knowledge by scaffolding instructions with some students until they become more active and self-directed learners. In addition, I will continue to use cooperative learning to allow each student to actively participate in acquiring knowledge. The specific changes in my teaching practice that would improve learning of individuals and collective students in my class. I think I need to tailor my lessons so that all learning experiences match the zone of proximate development for individual students and support them in mastering the stated learning objectives. I need to make sure that conversations are facilitated by all students while using academic language, and I need to make sure that students are grouped in order to maximize learning for individual students, and that students rely on each other to work and that they hold each other accountable. I also need to challenge students more to promote maximum cognitive growth. At Apache Trail, students basically are not challenged, and they don't um, see the importance of learning math or certain concepts. So I hope that I would implement this in my teaching practice to always help them connect the applications of what we're learning to real life situations that they can relate to. Um, I hope I can continue to challenge students so that it would promote high order thinking. Um, Overall, I think I've grown a lot from the beginning to for the past few weeks. I have developed a lot of skills. I have learned a lot about the students and how they learn. And if I can individually help them um, function within a ZPD, I think this would definitely improve the learning of individuals and collective students in my class. This is the particular project where I got excited. Alan is a special ed student working with Mr. Al, and he hardly participates. When he sits in the back, he just sits there, and if he's not in the mood, he's not in the mood. It was very interesting to see Alan take part in this project, not only designing it but also coming up with a name of his product and his company, and working with Mr. Al to figure out the math behind the designs. He solved his surface area, he worked out his volume, and he was actually the first person to finish the project. And toward the end of the video, we would see him enjoying his popcorn. Again, the kids here, the students here, all of them had the same product, a bag of popcorn, and they needed to design a project, a package to fit it in. Students in the back, some of them work with rectangular prisms. I had a design of a pyramid, and I think Alan was supposed to be a cylinder, but again, it came out different. However, he measured his dimensions, and in the end, he calculated the areas of the different faces and put them together to calculate the surface area. It was exciting to see how students are learning. In the beginning, they were just sitting down, taking notes, listening to my boring voice, probably, and a lot of them admit that I speak softly. So I think this was a way toward the end that I learned to help them to learn on their own, where I just facilitate and make sure that they understand what is being taught. Toward the end of this project, students are supposed to present their package, their package, and also their calculations, the math behind the surface area, the volume, the cost. So not only did they have to just play around with boxes and stuff, they also had to understand the differences between surface area and volume. And I think they did pretty good, and overall I can see the growth of my teaching event from the beginning to the end. That is it. That's the end of the analysis of my professional growth.